Hey everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Zoo Tour Matters, where today we will be looking at the brand new African forest exhibit at Bristol Zoo Project. Having opened at the start of April 2026, this area is the new home for the gorillas formerly housed at Bristol Zoo Gardens, as well as bringing new species in such as mangabeys, cichlids, grey parrots and slender snouted crocodiles. The headline species of the area, of course, is the western lowland gorillas. As mentioned, these guys have been moved over from their previous home at Bristol Zoo Gardens, a zoo which closed down several years ago. The gorillas were still housed at the zoo. They have since been moved over recently into an area that's roughly about 4.5 times the size of what they were in at Bristol Zoo Gardens. Today we're going to have a closer look at the exhibits and this new area, so come and join me as we have a closer look at the African forest. We start off by looking at the island which houses the gorillas. There are two main islands, the second one we will speak about a little bit later. The islands both have moats around them. As I say, this is the gorilla side at the moment. And then as we move down the viewing path, we come to the gorilla house itself. Now at Bristol Zoo Gardens, to view the gorillas inside, you actually went inside a building. Here this is an outdoor experience, although it is sheltered. Some nice rope work to complete the look. Inside the house itself, there are multiple climbing options for the gorillas. And then we have what we call a biofloor. This is a naturalistic floor recreated with mulch and bark chippings. This means the gorillas can forage. It also means that we can keep humidity within these type of houses by watering the floor into the mulch. There are dividing options in the house for the gorillas. They didn't show particularly well. They didn't come too far forward within the house. I believe keepers are starting to do steady interactions between the gorillas and the mangabeys. They aren't currently mixed, but I believe the plan is to mix them slowly over the upcoming weeks. Any new exhibit like this, any time that new species go on to new exhibits, especially those that are coming from different zoos, it does take a little bit of time. This is going to become a mixed exhibit, and obviously it has to be right for both species. It has to be right for the keepers as well. So over the next coming weeks, I'm sure the keepers will do slow introductions between the two species, but I can tell you it will look incredible when you have both the gorillas and the mangabeys mixed together on this exhibit. So let's talk about the actual gorilla exhibit itself. It is a man-made island. There is a moat that goes right the way around, not just for the gorilla side, but also onto the mangabey side. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Some primates will come down to water's edge. You'll see little interactions with the water, but not enough that they would go in. I imagine the moat is around about 6 foot deep anyway, so definitely too deep for gorillas or much smaller primates like mangabeys to bother and want to go in. On the islands themselves, there is a lot of vegetation which has been left stood for the gorillas to access and to use, and also to forage around. Large trees are in place still, which the gorillas do make use of, as you'll see shortly. But also, as I say, that vegetation for gorillas to forage through. They will forage and look for natural food items that is in the enclosure, but also those provided by the keepers. Keepers will provide scatter feeds throughout the day, usually coincides with a visitor talk. Food items they're quite partial to, usually broccoli, chicory, items like that. But as I say, they do go up and make use of the trees. We are in the time of year where the leaves are really coming through, shoots are coming through, blossom on the trees and whatnot. The gorillas, as you can see here, will be up there and taking those natural food items from the trees. There were a couple of times that this particular gorilla would drop down branches, and those underneath would make the most of that, saves them going up the trees and take those food items themselves. You can see here just how thick that foliage is. I'm not saying it's quite the same as their natural environment, but it is pretty similar. and to see the gorillas going through themselves through this thick vegetation was really quite a sight to see. There's not many other zoos where I've seen the gorillas in quite this thick vegetation. It's usually nice lawns or maybe slightly overgrown grass for them to go through. The zoo currently holds 7 gorillas in total, 2 males and 5 females. The zoo suffered quite a loss recently, losing their silverback male Jock. The 2 current males are both 5 years old, so a long way from sexual maturity, which usually is around about the 10 to 15 year old mark. When they hit sexual maturity, the zoo may move them on to a different collection to become silverbacks of their own troop, or even utilise the other side and have a bachelor troop. I imagine the zoo probably will look for a new silverback from elsewhere in the meantime though. Heading round to the other side of a wall, this is the Mangabey side. The Mangabeys really did not want to show very well during my visit. You can see the moat carries on before we have a wall with viewing windows so you can get a little bit closer view to the primates. As you can see, lots of trees, lots of climbing options, again lots of vegetation, very similar to the other side. Really quite something to see all of the primates in this together. Now, away from the gorillas and the Mangabeys, the African forest does also feature a couple of other species. This is a large indoor building which houses slender snouted crocodile as well as a multitude of cichlid species. There are great overwater and underwater viewing opportunities for both adults and children alike. Unfortunately, on this visit there was some signage to state that the crocodile, of which they just hold the one, is off having veterinary treatment. So unfortunately that was a no-show. And then as you come out this building, you are met with some grey parrots. There are several of this charismatic bird species, again with both indoor and outdoor viewing for the birds. Quite a few of these on my visit were inside. It was quite a warm day, but they still wanted to make use of that heated indoor house. And that brings an end to the tour of the African forest. Overall, a really amazing addition to Bristol Zoo Project for both new species and old. Look out for a full tour of the zoo coming up shortly, and I'll see you next time.